Hey everybody, welcome to Alex Rants. I just want to talk about something non-finance related. Talk about the BOEING whistleblower. Did he kill himself? Was he murdered? Right, that everybody's asking. Very, very suspicious. Obviously, you're about to give testimony against a defense contractor and a major U.S. company, very powerful entity, about quality control and protections, and he's risking a lot obviously when he does it. I think at our first impression is obviously like, he didn't kill himself. Like, that's crazy. Like, why would he kill himself literally 2 months before, 3 months before he's going to give a deposition or give testimony in court, right? But I just was kind of reading through this article. Want to just talk a little bit about it. I don't know, give my thoughts. My first impression is like, wow, that's very suspicious. Probably didn't kill himself, right? The conspiracy theorist in me definitely wants to believe that. But let's read. There's an NPR article. I'm going to just highlight a couple of things. His body was found in a hotel parking lot in Charleston with one gunshot wound to the head. They said it seems like he died from an apparent suicide. Right here it says right here, the Office of Charleston County Coroner said Barnett, who had been living in his home state of Louisiana after retiring from Boeing, died from what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But we have some quotes, I guess, from people. We have a statement from Boeing. Boeing says, "We're saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his family and friends." I'd be curious to know when Boeing sent this statement, if NPR maybe made this request, specifically saying this guy was a whistleblower and a longtime employee of yours, or if Boeing said this before anybody reached out. It seems like NPR probably reached out to Boeing, and Boeing just sent this in response. So the reason I think that timing would be important is because, if Boeing makes that statement basically unsolicited, right? Like they just go and publish it themselves. It's almost like that would always raise an eyebrow more than if a journalist goes out and reaches out for comment. And this is a pretty generic statement. But let's just touch a little bit of details and then kind of give my last opinion here. This guy, 62, I guess he and other former employees spoke to New York Times about shoddy manufacturing problems at Boeing. Barnett accused the company of adopting a culture that prioritized raw numbers and profits over quality and, by extension, passenger safety. Here, this is a quote from him. As quality manager at Boeing, you're the last line of defense before a defect makes it out to the flying public. And I haven't seen a plane out of Charleston yet that I'd put my name on saying it's safe and airworthy. So it's a pretty big statement from Barnett here. And Barnett had already filed a whistleblower complaint against Boeing. I think, should he have gone out publicly to state that? Maybe not his best interest. I would probably keep it under the table, at least until you kind of go to court over it. Whistleblower protection is normally supposed to be there, right? Like, you're supposed to be protected if you're a whistleblower. And there's normally compensation for whistleblowers. Like, that's part of they try to incentivize people to come out and speak out against their companies, knowing that they'll full and well risk their job and their reputation for pointing out suspicious behavior. And the protections would have had to have failed in this instance. Obviously, he took it public to New York Times, so it's not like his identity was anonymous. I think at the end of the day, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. I mean, let's listen to some other quotes, and this is why I'm leaning that way. So his brother says, well, he was looking forward to having his day in court and hoped that it would force Boeing to change its culture. So obviously he seemed to be excited about it. But the family did also say that Barnett's health declined because of the stresses of taking a stand against his longtime employer. Where are those stresses coming from? Are those stresses that he's putting on himself, or is he getting pressure from other people, aka Boeing, right? They say he was suffering from PTSD and anxiety attacks as a result of being subjected to the hostile work environment at Boeing. So here's another question. Was it from the hostile work environment, or was he only getting these anxiety attacks after he filed his whistleblower complaint? Right? Because if he's getting these attacks following the whistleblower complaint, well, maybe he's having, maybe someone's pressuring him at Boeing and, starting to threaten him and making him really nervous. Last thing here, his own words, quote, with after he was interviewed by Ralph Nader in 2019, quote, "It takes a serious mental and emotional toll on me," Barnett said. But he added, "The safety of the airplanes rolling off the production line remained his main focus. That's what my story is about, is telling my story enough to where the right people get involved to make sure these airplanes are made correctly." 787 carries 288 passengers plus crew, and I don't want to wake up one morning and see the 787 has gone down because of the one of the problems he identified. I've identified. And it just keeps him up at night, he said. So what are my thoughts? It seems he has obviously taken suffered from some mental health consequences as a result of his whistleblowing. The question, though, his family makes it seem like it's a result of his work environment from before he retired, but he kind of makes it seem like the whistleblowing has taken a serious mental and emotional toll on him. I think it's very suspicious, but it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. We're never going to know the truth. I think we have to accept that. But I guess those are some of my thoughts. I don't know. I mean, I would have to ask more questions, right? Some of the ones that I pointed out earlier. But anyway, just wanted to point that out. I think I could talk like a little bit more about this right here, which I think is really really key here, because I think this is something we can really extract and put to and apply to a bunch of other companies. And that's adopting a culture that prioritizes raw numbers and profits over quality. And I think the corporatization of everything in America and of all of our traditions, of all of our culture, almost. It feels like our culture is just a giant corporation, and it's sucking the soul out of like our society. Like it's like we don't connect with people as much anymore. It's just everybody's like a cog in a wheel, and going to your local hardware store and talking to Jim, Bob, or whatever at the store, and talking to you about his day and his kids, and it's his store, and they've had it for 2 generations, and he's invested in the community and a part of the community. That's a big difference than a Home Depot. While Home Depot is great and amazing in many ways, it's hard to beat somebody who is actually invested in your community, truly, and who is a resident there, and making friendships and bonds with people you interact day to day. And I think we're really at the point now where the stock market and this drive for perpetual growth and perpetual increases in sales and increases in profit, I think are really starting to take its toll on, maybe not on the U.S. financially necessarily, in the sense that it's, our GDP is good, et cetera, but I think on the morale of the people. And also it's making it increasingly unaffordable for people who don't have a lot of invested assets. So anyways, those are my 2 thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I hope you have a good one. Oh, please like and subscribe.